Hi everyone, it's Kathie. Thank you so much for joining me today. So today I have a new project to share with you. We're going to be featuring the August 2022 Paper Pumpkin Kit, and I have 4 cards that I'll be sharing. The first 2 is just Slimline cards. I just thought I'd share a different way of using the card base and the envelope that came in the kit. So I'm not going to spend too much time on how to create the Slimline cards. I'm sure most of you guys have made one. Obviously I haven't. So I did have to do some research. So this first card, it measures a 3.5 by 8.5 finished. I'm going to have the measurements and whatnot on screen, or you may have already noticed that I have, and I'll also have it on my blog in case. As well, I'm going to include the measurements to create an envelope to go with it if you are interested. So I'll have that on my blog. I didn't spend a lot of time on it. I just kind of zipped through it. I didn't leave in a lot of footage on how I created it. So just wanted to share that. And then also for the Slimline Mini, which measures 3.5 by 6.5 inches finished, I decided to go with the envelope. So I did open that up. And for both of the cards, I used a bone folder and went over the creases just to flatten it out so it won't be too obvious. So I'm cutting down the envelope, and I thought it'd be perfect for the mini size. And I wasn't sure where I wanted to go with this, but at the end I ended up cutting it down to the exact size of the card base. And then I chopped it down to, I think 3 inches by 6 was the end result. And then I backed it with Blackberry Bliss. And I used the same for the larger Slimline card as well. But the mini has a larger border around. The measurements are on the screen. I don't know if you saw it or not, but it'll also be on my blog. All right, we're jumping into the next alternative card. And I'm actually trying to plow through this video because I couldn't get through it last night. So today I thought I'd try again. But I am suffering from a really bad sore throat. So my voice is a little bit off, and it kind of hurts when you talk. So I'm just going to get through this video and post it up there so everyone can check out these alternatives. All right, so this one here, I'm using the bee, the itty bitty little bee, and I'm stamping out flowers. Nothing special, right? And while I was stamping it out, my storage filled up on my camera, so you didn't get to see me color in the first set of flowers. I decided that it wasn't quite full enough, and I'm just adding more flowers. So I'm stamping some more flowers, and then there's a bit of footage of me coloring them in with Melon Mambo Stamp and Write marker. And I used Mossy Meadow for the bottom part of the flower and the stems. And also, I'm not coloring it in solidly, so I'm leaving some white parts of these flowers. Hindsight, after when I completed this card, I realized that the flowers were facing up a little too much for my liking. I should have angled them, a little to the left, a little bit to the right to give it a little bit more life. Because they look to me maybe a smidge stiff, but nonetheless, I still think it turned out not too bad. You tell me. All right, so I stamped the sentiment, and it is a little to the left. When I cut back this card, I'm going to center it a lot better. And then I shaded the top of the card using Balmy Blue. And now I'm just erasing pencil marks that I made when I stamped across that panel with the flowers so that I'm not overly crooked. And more pencil marks to create some swirls for the bees. And then I use a fine tip Sharpie marker to draw in those little dash marks. And this card, I do like that it shows those bees more so than the Slimline cards that I made, because it's just busy and you can't really see the bees, right? So now you can. Anyway, I did back this panel with Melamambo, and the measurements were on the screen and also will be on my blog when I get it up there. All right, so for this final card, I decided to use the leaf stamp, and I'm just stamping all around this panel. It's kind of fun to do that. And once I'm happy with filling this card up with the leaf, I'm going to do some coloring. And I don't normally use the blends too often, but this time I decided I'm going to just try it because it's going to be super easy coloring. I'm using the Granny Apple Green. I'm starting off with the dark color at the bottom of the leaf and the center, and then I'm using the lighter color to blend all the colors in. And then I kind of, go with the light and then jump in with the dark and then come back with the light and so on. So there's really no big science to it because it's super easy coloring each leaf. Once I finish coloring these leaves, I'm coming in with Mossy Meadow, the light marker, and I wanted to get the bottom and the center part of the leaf a little bit darker, just to give it a little more oomph. All right, and now I'm using that other leaf stamp that came in the kit. I'm going to stamp second generation kind of on the left and right of the leaf, so on each side. Just make sure you don't ink up the whole entire stamp so that you don't get the tail part or the bottom part of that leaf hanging past the actual leaf, the first leaf. Okay, I do have a couple there, but you're not going to notice it too much. Now, the honeycomb, the gold honeycomb piece, I just hacked away at it, and what came out was kind of like a heart shape. It wasn't intentional, it just happened. All right, and then I decided that I wanted to put a piece of vellum on the center of this panel just to mute it down a little bit. You don't have to do it, but I decided to add that in there. I did use a couple of glue dots to stick that down in the center of the panel, and then I did use a little bit of glue for the gold piece. I just kind of dabbed it with my finger, and that way you don't get too much or any glue oozing all over the place. All right, so I used 2 of the labels that came from the kit along with the flower die cut piece. And I stamped thank you from the kit as well. And for the flower piece, I decided to cut back that one leaf. And I'm going to tuck that flower piece just under that label on the top left. And then I decided to also stick down that leaf that I cut off. All right, so more glue dots, which when you think about it, I really hated those. But now I just use it all the time. I think the secret is making sure you have a pokey tool. That actually really, really helps. And then suddenly you just constantly use these glue dots and, not just leave them in the box. Okay, so that's the card. I do back it onto a Blackberry Bliss as well. And the actual panel was cut down 4 by 5 1/4, but I'll double check the dimensions. And a full panel 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and then I stuck it onto a top folding card base. So that's it. That's my first 2 alternate card shares. I hope you enjoyed it. And I'm going to give my throat a rest. So hopefully I'll be able to get around to sharing 2 more alternative cards. Thanks for joining me today. Bye for now.